Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her own tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons her children to her flag and strikes for her freedom.
The proclamation was read in front of the GPO by P.H. Pearse, President of the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic, and signed by him and his fellow members of that government. In the GPO, overall command of Dublin was taken by James Connolly, whom Pearse described as the guiding brain of our resistance. The building's defence was prepared by the Irish Volunteers and Irish Citizen Army, now together as one force, the Irish Republican Army. Across the city, the other leaders were seizing buildings and strategic points. At Stephen's Green, the leaders were Michael Mallon and Countess Markovitz.
We are ready to fight for the Ireland we love, be the chances great or small. We are willing to die for the flag above, be the chances nothing at all.
The Republican forces at Stephen's Green came under fire from the British Army in the Shelbourne Hotel and had to retreat to the College of Surgeons. But elsewhere, the Republican Army occupied strong points and it took a heavy toll on the enemy to dislodge them. Commandant Tomás McDonagh in Jacob's Biscuit Factory, Commandant Eamon Ceannt in the South Dublin Union, Commandant Edward Daly in the Forecourts, Commandant Eamon de Valera in Boland's Bakery. And in other posts, such as the Mendicity Institution on Usher's Island, where Captain Sean Houston held out for 3 days against overwhelming odds. The proclamation's pledge to assert Ireland's rights in arms was being fulfilled.
We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to its cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations.
At City Hall, the first Republican to die in the Rising was Captain Sean Connolly. His place in command was taken by Dr. Kathleen Lynn. Fierce fighting took place in the Church Street area, where Edward Daly captured and burned Linnenhall Barracks. At Mount Street, a handful of volunteers held back hundreds of British soldiers, inflicting heavy casualties, with 4 volunteers dying in a burning building in the final effort to hold back the troops. Thousands of British reinforcements and heavy artillery were arriving as Easter week wore on. From the Liffey, the Helga gunboat shelled Liberty Hall. Guns and troops were deployed in Trinity College, targeting the GPO and O'Connell Street. Soon the street was in flames. The GPO itself was burning by Friday, and the leaders decided to evacuate. The O'Rahilly led a fatal charge at the British barricade in Moore Street, and he and his men were cut down by machine gun fire. The GPO garrison evacuated the building on Friday evening, entered Moore Lane and the buildings of the block 10 to 25 Moore Street to avoid British gunfire. James Connolly was carried on a stretcher, his ankle shattered by a bullet. On Saturday, around Connolly's bed in number 16 Moore Street, the leaders agreed to surrender. The fighting was over, but the rising of the Irish people had only just begun. Pearse told the brave men and women of Easter week, "We have lived to see an Irish Republic proclaimed. May we live to establish it firmly, and may our children and our children's children enjoy the happiness and prosperity which freedom will bring." In the aftermath, the 7 signatories of the proclamation and 7 other leaders were executed in Dublin's Kilmainham jail. Thomas Kent was executed in Cork and Roger Casement in London. Margaret Skinner of Glasgow and Monaghan fought and was wounded and survived. She describes the impression the Rising made on her.
For a long time after the Rising, I dreamed every night about it. The dream was not as it actually took place, for the outcome was always successful. My awakening was a bitter disappointment, yet the memory of our failure is a greater memory than many of us had dared to hope.
Every Easter since 1916, Republicans have remembered the patriots of the Rising and all who have died in the struggle for the Irish Republic.
The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all of its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and all of its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally.
Sin aligra fuala ta Fuair hÉireann bui and arslu hearty and radni queen flavors shanti hoshin share fosta nia for hÉireann fin trial anak da him savarna foil ligan argil hom wash no sell ligan a screw fue la wana bile